It's time for Who Watch, time and relative blackness in space.
The black girls have the box.
Hi everyone, it's Bayana and Robin coming to you live from the Time Vortex. Connie is off on Beryllium, so she can't join us today.
Hi, Connie.
But, hi Connie. If and when you listen to this, we miss you.
We have not done a great job of getting us all together.
Well, I think that's what makes it easier when there are three co-hosts, because if people have to miss for one reason or another, you still got to.
Yeah. Okay, so today we're discussing episode 12 of Doctor Who season 10, The Doctor Falls. In this episode, the Doctor is dying, Bill is still a Cyberman, and Nardole is somehow a computer genius or something.
I don't understand Nardole. I don't know that I care
I don't
enough.
understand this season.
I don't know if that I care enough to investigate further, but I don't understand him. I don't understand.
I still have to figure out what is he?
What is he?
He's I'm not human, but also are you a person?
And then
not just human, but are you an organic person?
Right. And then they were bringing up stuff. We might as well just get this out of the way so we can get the other rage later in the episode. So making. Yeah, he was
I would sell them as soon
to his
as
past life, but it's the first time we've ever heard of it. So he starts talking about how he used to run a black market and how he would go crooked if he was up to him to take care of all the kids. And I was like, dude, who are you? What are you talking about? You've literally done nothing except for nag people.
I was like, weren't you just some henchman?
All you've done is nag people about nag the Doctor about staying at the vault, and made other vague references to your past lives, but none of it had anything to do.
You nagged River.
None of it had anything to do with what you were talking about in this episode.
When we first met you were nagging River, and then you were nagging the Doctor all this season, and now you somehow are some badass running a black market.
Have time?
When?
When
did you find the time?
I'm sorry, I am.
But yes,
I'm not understanding.
When? What were you? Was that a third shift thing? Do you not sleep? Because I don't understand.
And I'm did I miss something from the Christmas special that he was in? I don't think I did. I think they're just making shit up.
See, this is where the part where I did not watch the Doctor Mysterio
Whatever. That had nothing to do
special.
With the season at all. So
no. And so now I'm do I need to go back and watch that? Yeah, because I missed it and I wasn't that pressed about it. And I loved the River and the Doctor's episode, but I it's been so long now. I'm do I need to go back and rewatch that? Because that was the first time we met Nardole. And what I remember Nardole from that, even we were talking, if we go back to episode 1, I was confused about Nardole with his watching the vault, and now all of a sudden he's got a whole secret past. That is literally
being brought up in the last 15 minutes of the episode. What?
Right. And then, you said, I don't care enough. It was one of those, I literally sighed out. I was, ugh. And also because I was we don't have time for this because they need to figure out how they're going to fix Bill. We are running out of time.
So it's a thing I said at I think it was the first episode where I was just I don't understand why Nardole's here. He doesn't add anything to the plot in any way. And I was maybe he will eventually. But no. Literally, he does nothing that is significant in any way. And other than just wanting another quirky white dude in the damn show, there aren't already 15 of them, that's the only... I don't see a reason for him to be there.
Right. I also was really disappointed by Missy's ending. I don't know if it's an ending.
It was weird. The whole Masters thing seemed like it was going to be much more epic, and then it wasn't.
It was
didn't
not
do anything.
Yeah. And the whole part I really was enjoying in the beginning of this episode and towards the end of last episode, where the Doctor they go to run away or run away and find the TARDIS. And the Doctor stops and does his whole, for your consideration, any epic speech about being kind. And Missy is, you could tell it's like it's getting through to her, but it's not getting through to the Master. But then how they ended up wrapping that up, I was like, well, what was the point of that? Because the Doctor doesn't even know. Like, I mean, and I do not care about, I care about the Master, but I care about the Master and Missy in relation to the Doctor.
And I think, like...
So if Missy has some great revelation on her own and that doesn't, like, the Doctor doesn't know, who cares?
And there was a whole, like, I feel like the problem is with this, like, finale is that there were a bunch of things that this season set up that then the finale just forgot. And then there are a bunch of things that the season had nothing to do with that the finale just decided to bring up and be like, look at how important these things are. And it's like, but we've been watching this for 3 months and none of this has ever been mentioned. And I think the Master, like, timeline was the former, where, like, the whole thing about the vault, and then the Doctor let her out the vault, and then she's trying to be good, all that kind of stuff, and then it just kind of, like, fell off. And I thought, like, the whole Master and Missy together would would kind of show that struggle more, but they didn't really do it. It was like, as soon as the Master was around, Missy was like, well, guess I'm following him, which, A, doesn't make sense because she's older than he is, and, like, B... was actually way more frustrating than I thought it would be because the Master was super sexist. Oh yeah, and I didn't. Oh, and I didn't.
Which I think is a setup to we're getting a female Doctor, but it was also like if we're not getting the Doctor at the end of this episode, then I don't need it. Like,
it was.
I don't need all the sexism.
No, it was like and I was just sitting
I'm not
here
gonna
like,
remember it.
What? Like, isn't
in 6 months when the Christmas episode comes back, like. And then you set up the Doctors with the first Doctor coming back. So I'm like, for real, like, I don't understand. I don't lie.
And with the Master, it was really frustrating, right? Because, like, obviously from the beginning, I was just I was going into it not excited. I was just like, all right, we got to finish this, whatever, see how it ends, fine. And Bill was already making me mad. But then with the Master, it was just like, really, do we need all this sexism in addition to, like, just straight up misogynar and like all this other shit? Like, why do we have this? And then so like and another thing that was really strange,
had to rear his head.
Another thing that was really strange, right, is that like the Master was so hung up on gender. This like only an episode before, the Doctor was talking about how Time Lords are like beyond gender and they have like a better understanding of how it's not like an issue. And the Doctor is like, and the Master is like, keeps getting mad when people call Bill she. He's like, it's a Cyberman. He's not a woman.
Well, I don't think that was a gendered thing, or I took that as a call it. Don't call her. Stop humanizing her.
And I didn't get that because he didn't.
It's a
I
Cyberman.
didn't hear him say it.
I
heard
genderless.
Him say it's not he's not a she. It's a Cyberman is what I heard. And that's not to say it was right. That's just what I was hearing.
Which you could tell, you could. And I took it as, like, don't, especially for Missy, like, stop clinging on to Bill. Bill is no longer there. It's a machine. It's a whole.
And I think if they had said that more explicitly, I would have been like, all right, fine. But instead, he seemed much more hung up on her pronoun than he did on the fact that she was a Cyberman. And then, like, one thing he says when Missy does call Bill she, he says, becoming a woman is one thing, but have you got empathy too? And I was just like, that is some sexist
Yeah, he
shit.
did. I was
like, did he just... And then, like, did Moffat write that and think that would be a good thing for someone to say?
He thinks that shit is funny.
I was just sitting here like, that's not...
Like, as much as I really like Stephen Moffat's ability to, like, tell story, like, the stories that he sets up, you know what I mean? Like, but, like, if someone else could take over the writing of the characters and the dialogue within the framework of his stories, that'd be great.
Because he's terrible at it. Oh my God.
He's the worst part of a fanboy. Like, he's all of the fanboy trolliness that is super problematic and and the other thing is getting pushed out of fandom and popular culture in general. Like, people are just like, we're not taking this. Why are we doing this? We're not doing this anymore. And so he pushes back really hard with some unnecessary stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this is, we kind of said this earlier with Bill, was like, okay, fine, we have to have a black woman, we have to be quote unquote woke, so we're going to throw all these things at her, we're going to say all of this stuff up front, and then when he gets his turn to write the finale, it's like, what are you going to say?
No,
we gave you all of that.
No,
we're going to give you a female doctor.
Like,
so no, I'm going to go out on my own terms.
Like, okay,
you know?
I don't want to get to Bill yet, but that was like, okay, really quickly, I just want to finish with the Masters.
Where's Penny?
Where's Penny? Is that? But that's not even what I was gonna say.
Her?
But yeah, okay. We're not getting there yet.
We'll get there.
Also, a couple things about the Master plot line is that, like, one, they were flirting with each other, which I thought was weird, but then I was like, okay, fine, they're narcissists. Okay. But it was weird. Yeah.
And at least Misty was like, no. But
I think it just kind of like, upped the, like, how gross the Master was making me feel. You know what I mean? And I was just like, really? Really? No, that's not necessary. And then, like, they killed each other, and I wasn't really clear on, like, what happened with that. I was confused. I got what they did, but I wasn't sure why, and then I was like, oh, so now Missy can't regenerate, but then I was like, why even do that? Because we know you're gonna rewrite that anyway and bring the Master back in, like, 2 seasons, so...
Right. I think that his thought was that the Master was like, we will never side with the Doctor. Like, we will not be friends with the Doctor. So I'm going to kill my future because we cannot, like, we will always be nemesis and we will not work with him. Which was dumb. Because Missy said something like, it was always coming to this, or this is where we were always headed. Missy's whole thing, and this is the other part about Missy being older than the Master, is that she's been alone for a really long time, too, and living a completely different life and different gender. You know, like, she's just living something different. And because of all the stuff the Master did, like, she, it seems, has to keep a low profile, because that's what they, like, brought up before. Is like, oh, you started some stuff, you had a revolution, and then people rose up against you, and then you had to go into hiding. Been there, done that, right? And so my thing was that whatever happened in between the Master and, like, Missy, when we first meet her, made her really miss another Time Lord the way that the Doctor was earlier in, like, seasons 9 and 10. Or, sorry, seasons 1 and 2. But being the last Time Lord and really feeling that kind of thing, and then wanting... At first, she wants to pull the Doctor over to her side, but then seeing that that's futile, is willing to go, you know, more towards the kindness side. But the one consistent in her whole arc was like, we're friends, we're best friends. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're together, you and me. Like, let's not ever separate again. And so I took it as the Master not wanting, you know, like... Sorry, I just got out of a very, very long car ride with Aminata. You know, when she's like, I'm not going to sleep. I'm not tired. I'm not tired. And you're like, but you're so tired, though. Why are we doing this? Like, you know that you're tired. Like, that's how it's like, we're not friends with him. We don't have nothing to do with him. We're enemies. Like, but you know you're friends. You know you love him. Right. You know. And I think that was the thing. It's like, the Master knows, but is unwilling, is on some 4-year-old. Exactly. I'm not.
Yeah, and I mean, I think
temper tantrum stuff.
I think I got that, and I understood the point. I just thought the execution was super sloppy, and I thought that they could have actually, like, ruminated on that more, especially in, like, how you were saying, like, with the Doctor there. Like, it would have had more weight. It was like,
he gave a whole speech to her and him about, like, I'm not doing this. Like, none of what I do is anything about you. It was literally the Black Lives Matter thing. Like, I'm not saying you don't matter. I'm just saying the other people matter too, as in humans matter. I'm not saying you don't matter. I'm just saying that they matter and they need my help. So could you help with, you know, the crisis at hand? And he gave that whole thing, and then her coming to recognize that is done off in the distance in the, like, forest, and he's miles away fighting. Like, why?
And I think also, like, it just...
Missy is...
Again, I just think, like, it was really the writing, because I feel like pieces were there, right? Like, even her talking about how at the very beginning where she was like, oh, I was on your side the whole time. And then the doctor was like, is that true? And she was like, well, I don't really know because we're like in the same place. And so my brain gets messed up because it's like the same person in 2 different times. I was like, cool. That's interesting. Can we talk about that more and like explore that more?
And then she says that again too. Like she was like, something about, I can't remember because it hasn't happened to you yet, and I'm here, and so I can't, like, when they were talking to each other. Yeah, that was, and hopefully, because it seems like the special will be a bunch of doctors together, maybe we can explore that through his perspective of what happens when you're at a time convergence thing.
I mean, I don't know. I also think, like,
but I also feel like when it was the 9 and 10 together during the 50th, like, they kept their memories.
Didn't.
So maybe it's a master thing.
No, they didn't keep their memories.
They didn't?
That was the point. That was why it was, like, a way to make sure that they didn't have to rewrite all of the previous seasons. So it was like, oh, they mentioned at the very end, like, oh, we can't retain this. So that's why 9 and 10 were so salty, because they thought that they killed the Time Lords and they didn't.
Oh, like okay. Because I thought, oh, right. Because I thought it was, like, I'm thinking about their, like, fight, 9 yelling at 10 about... No, sorry. 10 yelling at 11 about, like, you don't even know how old you are. You don't know how many people you killed. You don't remember how many Time Lords we killed. Like, are you that over it? Yeah, I don't know. It's so confusing. Wibbly wobbly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that wasn't why I was confused about this episode, though. It wasn't the wibbly wobbly stuff at all. Like, I understood that stuff, especially because like, the whole thing with the Master not being able to retain this, I totally understood that because we have precedent for it when we've had the Doctors together. So I was like, yeah, cool, that makes sense. But really, it was the writing that he was trying to do too much. Like, I don't know, the Cybermen really had no place in this, to be honest. Like, they were just like, oh, there's a thing coming, but, like, no one... Like, why? Why are they there? Which is pretty much almost every single Cyberman episode now I think about it, so never mind. That might not just be him. That might just be the Cybermen. Yeah, I don't know. It was just, like, not...
There is also... Can we... I don't know. This might belong in Bill Phil's. No, this belongs in Bill Phil's. I'll wait.
Okay, so let's talk about the Doctor real quick. Just a couple things. Mainly that he is regenerating. And he's regenerating. And he has been since... I would guess since he got electrocuted at the beginning of this episode, because Bill does notice when he's, like, they're walking and he glows a little bit.
Yeah, when they were walking.
But he, like, I'm tired of the whole, like, I don't want to regenerate anymore thing. Like, I feel like it's played. Like, you've done it 13 times. I
agree. I think that the idea of I don't want to go, I'm holding on type of thing is just... Like, he even says, like, I don't want to go. And I'm like, how many times are we going to do that? And
that's what I'm saying. And I liked the whole, like, he said a couple of last words. So he said, I don't want to go. He said, like, when the Doctor was me. Mm-hmm. So he was, like, you know, throwing back to 10, 11. And I think he said one other one that I just can't remember right now.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's cute. But also, again, I'm tired of the, I don't want to, like, dude, you're regenerating. Just regenerate. Why are you suspending it? Like, oh no, I'm going to put my hands in the snow and that's going to help. How, for one? Because that makes no sense. And then, like...
So the one thing that I was thinking was, like, he puts his hands in the snow or whatever and he's, like, in the forest or whatever. And then his regeneration energy travels to Missy. That was the one thing that I was like, but maybe that's how they're going to explain her.
But they're in a totally different place because he moved. By the time that happened, he wasn't...
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't in that spaceship anymore. Like, he'd been left.
On the same floor?
No, he'd left. Like, he was gone.
Oh, yeah. He got on the TARDIS. Yeah. You're right.
So, I don't know. I thought that I was just kind of like...
So, no, it didn't make no sense.
And my thing is, like, regenerating is a part of, like, a Time Lord's life. Like, it's a thing that you do. And, like, it's a thing that happens. So, every time. And at this point, you've done it at least 13 or 12. No, 13 times. Why are you so pressed?
13 times.
Like, why?
Also, the thing that he says, too, where he's like, I don't want to keep changing. And it's like, that's
who you are.
You're
literally, that's what you do.
That's like a human, like, that stuff turns you into, like, the Master, right? Like, that's like a human being like, I don't want to die. Like, there's Voldemort. Right. Like, this is like, bruh, get yourself some moisturizer. Live your best life. Like,
and this motherfucker doesn't die.
Why are you
and
trying to...
And he's mad because he's gonna change.
Right. Because you don't want to change the shape of your eyebrows? Like, come on, bro. Like...
Huh?
What?
So
you literally have the most lit.
Yeah, I'm just like, what are you even talking about?
Death ever.
So that was dumb. And I just feel like as the episode kept going, I was just getting like more and more annoyed. And I'd just kind of go between like being angry. I'd be going between angry and confused, and then in the middle just be annoyed and like just over it. Like, why am I even here? Which is...
It reminded me a lot of 11's last hurrah and the Christmas episode and I'm just like, maybe Moffat just can't do this. Maybe he just doesn't have the range, because the thing with like RTD, especially at the end of Tenet, it was like big and outlandish, and the Cybermen were there, whatever, for Chen's last season, not the Regenerations, but it all was like culminating into this big,
it was cohesive
goodbye, and it was a lot. It was right, but it was cohesive, and it made like it was. I'm always like, we're doing a lot, like reality bombs, and like
really all of reality.
For
what?
Calm down. Just take a step. You know what I mean? But at least it made sense.
I wasn't sitting there like, but like, where did the Donna come from, and how come Rose? No, that shit was explained. So it's like, cool, I'm with you.
Right.
It's a lot going on, but I'm with you. This time I was just like, what is happening? I just literally have no idea what's going on.
It's a lot going on, and I'm not here.
Like, I'm either, like, the stuff that I do understand is some bullshit, and the stuff I don't understand, I'm just sitting here like,
I'm not with.
Like, I was literally watching it like, what? Huh? What? Like, literally my notes.
There are like a couple of moments too where I was like, when did that become a thing?
No, like my notes are like alternating. Like, I was looking at it earlier, and it literally is like, fuck this, or huh? Like, just fuck this. What? Fuck this. How? Like, just back to back to back. Because I was just like, huh? What? This makes no sense.
It was like, there are moments that I'm watching it and I was like, but this is like, we have an hour. Why we talk about this now? We have an hour. We don't have time for this. Bill is still a Cyberman. Like, if I said, I can't count how many times I was like, but Bill is still a Cyberman, so we don't have time. We're running out of time.
I don't care about any of these other people. I don't care about Nardole and that woman who for some reason had a crush on him. I don't care about Masters.
Crush on Nardole. I was another one. I was like, that's a useless scene. The doctor talking to the home chick about can you throw and all that stuff. Like, that was cute or whatever. Like, she's a cute kid. She looks like Bill a little bit. But that was like, if that had nothing to do with it, so then I'm gonna need you, because a little bit I was like, well, maybe that's Bill as a young kid.
See,
and then
I thought that too for a second.
Whatever. But then I was like, okay, that doesn't seem to be it. So we don't have time for this. Like, I don't have time for monologues that don't have nothing to do with how you go with you. How are you gonna fix Bill? Like, I don't have time for any of this stuff that does not end where we need to go. Like, we all know where we need to go, which is Bill riding off in the TARDIS with some form of a doctor. Right.
That's all I wanted.
So how we getting there? That was all I needed. Like, Moffat, I don't know, you need whoever is in the writing room with you is like, okay, so this is where we need to end. Walk right backwards from that spot, because I think you're getting distracted.
I don't understand how we got here. Right? Like, I just think, like,
not at all.
None of this was a good idea. Like, starting from the beginning of the finale, I was just like, but this is a terrible idea. Who thought this? And then who didn't check them? Like, what are you doing with you're failing at your job is what you're doing. Because we started off so strong, and then it just, like pretty much unwrote all of the shit that we...
Which, by the way, I don't like to say I told you so or whatever, but it was like around the 6th episode, I think it was like Extremis, or I had a moment, remember when you were like, so you don't like Doctor Who for being Doctor Who? And I was like, listen, I'm just anxious because I don't understand.
Well, okay, no. Don't say
where this is going.
Don't say that I told you so, because that's not what it was. You were mad at Doctor Who for being Doctor Who, and that made no sense. Separate from that, you were talking about it.
I was mad because I was
yeah. those are still two separate things, because your anger about it just being the show that it is made no sense. Don't try to make that make sense. It didn't make sense.
It was misplaced anger because I was like, I just don't know, not confident about where we're going.
Yeah, I think this season started off. I mean, we'll get there actually. Let's go into Bill, because for some reason I thought it was a good idea to just keep her a Cyberman the whole time. At least Pearl got to act. She was wonderful.
Right. So I will say that these last 2 episodes were directed by a woman, and I was kind of mad a little bit because, I mean, Stephen Moffat wrote both of them, but I still feel like a director has some say in like how this works, you know? And Bill's whole, like, she sees herself as herself, but then everyone else sees her as a Cyberman. Well, then none of the way the actors were reacting to her when she's talking, the way they acted when we saw the Cyberman talking versus when we saw Bill speaking as herself was completely different. And I'm like, they should always be acting like they did have that little like I'm scared of her thing, but like she was speaking in fluent sentences, like stumbling and muttering and stuff. But like if it was coming out of a Cyberman's mouth, that takes way longer. There's no like emotion in her voice because it's robotic. So like you can't tell from the inflections, right? You're not responding to Bill, you're responding to a Cyberman. And I felt like that was done really, really poorly, and that was also bothering me. Because I was like, okay, so they're gonna fix her, or they can I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was angry because, and again, like, one, there was no reason why she needed to be turned into a Cyberman. There was no reason why she needed to be shot in the first 10 minutes of the first part of the finale. Like, none of those things made any sense, and so, or like, did anything for the show, or anything, like, so it took away her agency. It made her, like, a thing to be saved. It made her, like, a
plot device.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I said it made her a plot device. Like, Nardole had more say in his own story than Bill did. And we didn't ask for Nardole.
Literally no one asked for Nardole.
We very explicitly asked for Bill.
Literally, like, all of the things that we learned about her, none of that came to play. Like, her mom didn't show up at all. Mom. Like, even her foster mother, like, didn't show up. Penny, she didn't think about Penny at all. Like, her job, like, none of those things ever came back in, and I was just like, so what was the point of setting all that stuff up?
Even the beginning of the episode, when they're going back and explaining why, or no, was that the first part? Either way, whatever, it all runs together a little bit. When they do a little flashback and explaining why he wants to give Missy this trial run.
Yeah, that was in the first part.
Like, even that stuff where she's like, why are we doing this? I don't trust her. Like, all of that stuff didn't even show up. Which was like, the doctor didn't, like, I don't know if this is a different part, but like she says, you're gonna make sure I don't die. You're gonna make sure, and he says, like, no, I can't promise that, right? But, I thought that was really weird, because the doctor is always like, you're gonna be okay, I'll take care of you. Whether or not that's true or not.
Their relationship, like, I mean, and this was a thing that we talked about last week, but when she did get shot, he just turned back to the dude who shot her, and was like, okay, so what's going on with this ship? As opposed to, you fucking killed my friend, we're about to square up. Like, there was nothing like that. And then all of a sudden, he wants to feel bad. But dude, she waited 10 years. And...
which was very much Amy and the girl who waited thing, too. Which was, I was also like... The thing that made me mad about that, too, is like, okay, but you also recycled another companion.
Not one companion. They recycled 3 different storylines and put that into Bill. There was Amy, the girl who waited. There was Danny being turned into a Cyberman in season 8, which was stupid. And then there was Clara running off with a shielder.
And also, like, with the black characters.
That, too. But then there was also Clara at the end of the last season running off with Lady Me in the TARDIS. And this was... Bill running off with what's her name, who we will get to, which made absolutely no sense. Ran away with her at the end. Like, really? You just ran out of thoughts. You had one more season. You had 12 more episodes to write, and you couldn't think of something No.
Mm-mm.
You should have ended your run then.
He was like, listen, guys, so here are some things that the fandom were very unsatisfied with. Let's try again and recycle them all and see if maybe this time they'll swallow it. No, we didn't like it the first time. So why are we gonna like it the second time?
The Girl Who Waited thing was fine as a thing for the first season, and then you just ran that into the ground. You were every episode, Amy's waiting. For what? You just got a waiting room that she is just perpetually in, and she just walks around with like magazines and like calm music and the news. And that's just that's how she exists in her life. Like, no, we don't need that again.
Right.
For what?
I also felt like there was something too about black people, Bill and Danny both being black, both getting killed
out of nowhere,
accidentally, out of nowhere, and then like there being no repercussions for their death, essentially, and the doctor not doing anything. Like, the amount of stuff he went through to kind of, like, try to save Clara, or...
He did so much to save
like,
Clara.
Amy.
And she died because it was her own fault. And it was just,
like, own fault. She put herself in that situation.
Like...
Bill didn't want to go on this darn thing in the first... She didn't want to give Missy a chance at all.
She didn't want to be there. She told you that outright.
She was like... She had to be talked into doing this. She did it for you as your friend. She... stood up and said, okay, I'm the human, and you weren't like, all right, let's get in the TARDIS and try another thing. Like, we're on a mission here. This one's not working out. Let's
leave.
Peace out and go find another distress signal where they ain't killing humans because this is about Missy. This isn't even about you.
Or, like, why does she even have to be there in the first place if it's about Missy? Leave Bill on Earth.
Right.
Be like, I'm about to take Missy for a trial run. I'm going to see you later.
Right, I don't want to do it. Okay, it'll just be her and Nardole.
Nobody gives a fuck about Nardole.
No. He's all, but I need to have you and Nardole to help her to, like, it's got to be like a normal, adventure. It's like, nah.
There's usually only one person.
No, it doesn't.
One companion anyway, so for what?
It could be Nardole.
Let Nardole get shot in the
I'll be
chest.
over here serving
We
chips.
also talk about, like, so there was a moment, so of course, like I was been saying, this whole kind of episode was very frustrating, but the moment where the doctor is explaining to Bill what happened and she's getting angry, I was, like, really uncomfortable and, like, kind of getting pissed off about it because it, like, completely played into the angry black woman trope where, like, she's getting upset for a good reason and the doctor's like, a temper is a luxury you can no longer afford. But it's like, bitch, you got her shot and then turned into a fucking... Cyberman, and then, like, everyone is afraid of her. No one wants to, like, talk to her. Like, all these things. And
no one's explaining to her what's going on.
No one's telling her what's going on. Everyone's terrified of her. And then when she walked into the house and homegirl just shot her just out of nowhere. Like, that shit was, like, it just made me really angry.
That was triggering to me because I was like, oh, so we're just playing off the whole black fear thing.
Who thought that was a good idea? After all the shit we did at the beginning of the season, like, look, she's black. Look, she has a fro. Look, she went back in time and it's not
that
safe.
Shit was a good
like,
idea.
All these things playing up, like, hey, look at how, like, much we understand the black experience, and no.
And then Moffat stormed. He bust in, like, those old westerns where they kick the door into the saloon and sit down and be like, I am here now. That's what happened. He wiped the table. He, like, swooped everything off the table. Fuck all this work you put in. I'm here. I got this. Let me go back to all the stuff that everyone hates about me. Let me prove everyone right.
It was horrible. It was just like, what the fuck, bro? What?
That part where she shoots at her when she comes in was, to me, like, I was like, okay, we know that you're making a lot of, like, obvious parallels to, like, what's going on in the world right now. Like, they name dropped Trump. Like, they did the whole, like, fake news, cyberbullying. Like, they've done all of these things, Brexit and fear of the other. And so with that, and like now we're at the season finale, so we are already like you have trained our brains this whole season to look for the real life parallel.
And that's
and then to do that,
but the other thing is,
shit?
right, like, and Connie mentioned this in the last episode. So first of all, like, you shot her twice. And, like, the second time it didn't work because she's a Cyberman, whatever. But, like, Connie was talking about last week about the visual of this blue person shooting this black person in the chest for no reason other than that they were afraid. Like, Bill was literally not doing anything. Like, this is some bullshit.
Hands up, don't shoot. Because she literally was, hands up, I'm the human, okay, I'll leave, I'm sorry, I'm here, I didn't know.
Like.
And then they're like, you know what we should do? We should do that again. But this time with the white lady. Because that'll feel real good.
And then we'll have the most confusing ending ever. If the Masters wasn't enough. Where the fuck did Heather come from? And for what reason?
We left that be in episode 1. Episode 2.
I ain't thought about her in months. Literally, she popped up and I was like, what? Who? I didn't even remember her name, to be honest. How did she get on the spaceship?
And I wouldn't
like, she hasn't popped up anywhere. Bill hasn't been dreaming about her. She moved on to Penny. Like, all of these things. I was just like, why? What? And then, like, did she take Bill? Then, like, what happened to Bill? Like,
she turned Bill into her. You're like me now. So Bill's a ship.
But then how did that? Right. So Bill's a ship. Is she human? Like, how does that work? The Cyberman part got left, but then wasn't it only her brain in the first place? And then she was like, "Oh, I can turn you human. How?" None of these things were set up
because she's ephemeral.
Literally, none of
she's got infinite powers. She said, "I can be back. You can be back by tea time or whatever."
Literally, none of those things made sense.
And I'm gonna just leave the Doctor and the TARDIS floating in this space because all of this makes sense because I'm the pilot. How can you fly the TARDIS? I'm the pilot. All of a sudden,
she can fly the TARDIS because she's the pilot.
She can pilot anything.
But like,
he's the Doctor. She's the pilot.
But literally, she's not been mentioned. She hasn't been. Like, no one has thought of her. But I guess that was the last episode.
We haven't even seen, like, glimpses of her. We haven't seen, like, drips of water in places there shouldn't be.
There was nothing to show or to suggest that she would show up.
At least Bad Wolf. We had Bad Wolf, like, you know, like...
written everywhere.
Just drop.
No.
We had the Impossible Girl just drip. Like...
Nope. And this one, they were just like, you know what? We're just going to bring back... This is how we're going to bring Bill back. And it was the dumbest... It made no sense.
This is Moffat going, oh, you know what? I don't know how this ends.
Right. And then also, like, why would Bill leave? Right?
That one girl, that one chick from the beginning.
Right. And then... So then why would Bill feel that much for her when they literally only knew each other for a couple of days? Like, at most. She had a crush on her. Homegirl got took by the puddle, and that was that. And then, like, she tells you she can turn you
Connie
into
said this
human.
on Twitter.
She tells you she can turn you human, so you could literally become human and then just stay on the TARDIS. Why are you then leaving if you could just stay on the TARDIS with the Doctor?
Right, and what is she showing you that the TARDIS can't show you?
Like, I just don't understand.
Yeah. So Connie wrote, like, a tweet about this, and she was like, we literally we did not see her. There was no reason for this. Like, there was, like, it was such a lazy excuse for a resolution. And my other part of that is the whole, like, oh, you're crying, they're not my tears thing. But then when she's crying at the Cyberman, like, those were her tears.
Right, because she was upset.
Those were Bill's tears. Bill was understandably... So then, like what you said about taking away her agency, or, like, the angry black woman, like, you don't have the luxury of being angry. Like, she also can't have her own sadness. Nope. So it was just...
It's a mess.
A mess. No one wants it.
I'm so, like, angry. Just, like, super disappointed as well.
So apparently it says in, like, the Wikipedia that Bill uses her species' healing powers to bring him back before her and Heather go travel the universe together. And I'm like...
Oh, because she cried on him?
How did we know that?
But no, he was gonna regenerate. That makes no sense.
Heather reveals she changed Bill into her species so that she could live on. The two take the Doctor back to his TARDIS, and Bill uses her healing powers to bring him back before she and Heather leave to see the universe together.
She cried on him like she was a phoenix,
the universe
is what she did.
Yeah. But we didn't catch that.
I saw her cry, and I think I saw like a drop hit her forehead. I didn't catch it. I just thought like, okay, you're crying, fine. The Doctor's gonna regenerate.
Yeah, she kissed her forehead or whatever, and she was saying about her friend.
Right. And then the fact that the Doctor never told Bill that he could regenerate, so she really thinks that he's just gonna die.
Right. It was a mess. There's no...
I just want a do-over.
There's no reason.
I think the last two episodes...
And the thing, too, is, like, we have to figure out... Where do we go from here? Because there was another thing where, like, another Connie thing where she said, beyond, like, the little dangler of the first Doctor at the end, like, she would quit again. And I'm kind of...
See, and the only reason I'm...
feeling that,
and
too.
And so do I. And I think that if I knew that Moffat was going to be doing next season, I would definitely be like, nah. But because it's a new showrunner, I'm like, I'm going to at least give it a try.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
Right.
And it could potentially be just as, like, fucked up and, like, disappointing. But I'm going to at least try. That's kind of where I am right now.
Yeah.
But...
I'm going to give the showrunner his, it's a boy, it's a dude. I'm going to give him his shot. But yeah. And then they said if they hadn't, Connie said, like, if they hadn't turned Bill into a Cyberman, they could have saved the emotion of saving someone for her and still had Heather come back and save her.
There were I want them to, like, be like, hey, just kidding, guys. This wasn't the real finale. We just felt like pulling your leg. Here's the real one, where Bill doesn't become a Cyberman.
And then
and all this stuff makes sense.
And then, like, there's another part that I just thought about. Like, because you were saying after Bill gets shot and the Doctor does this whole, like, okay, well, how do we get out of here? Like, and doesn't, like, has a little bit of you killed her, you shot her, why'd you shoot her? And then is, like, back to business. He gives that colony of people a whole rousing, I do it because it's kind, I do it because it's good, I have to save these people, to Missy and the Master. Meanwhile, Bill, who has been ride or die and did not want to be here, is a Cyberman and dying.
He has not apologized to her.
Or dead.
He definitely has not apologized.
And you're not giving a rousing speech about how you're doing everything that you can to save her. So, from the Missy Master perspective, it's like, what is the point? Because if I get close, I have a better shot of getting your love and attention as a stranger than I do as your close friend.
Yep.
Because you'll save some strangers. You'll die for some people. Like, and yeah, they need saving or whatever, but, like, he's not saving them. He also says that. He's like, it's a lost cause. They're going to go 5 floors and then get a couple more years or however the time thing works. Get a little bit more time, but I'm not buying them anything beyond that. Right.
And that he sent Nardole up there with him, so that's a lost cause.
Right, and he ends up leaving the spaceship it's still being sucked into that black hole or trying to get out of that black hole. So he doesn't
save anyone, really.
Save them. He doesn't save anyone.
Like, no type of resolution. Like,
no. They set all of that up. Missy dies, the Master dies, Bill turns into some species never to be seen again, apparently, maybe, fingers crossed. And the Doctor is off somewhere being like, I'm not going to regenerate. And Nardole, we didn't care about
Right.
Nardole from the jump, so who cares? So why did we do those 12 episodes?
The sloppiest ending. Like, I'm trying to think of other television shows that I watch where shit has been, like, a mess. And I feel like Doctor Who, when I think about it, is, like, the only show that I continue watching even when shit's a mess. But this was, like, peak. This was, like, really terrible.
I will say Sleepy Hollow, you watched that for
I got...
long.
That's you're right. You're correct. I got to...
But that was still only 2 seasons.
I got to the Bones crossover, and then
season...
I was like, nope. I got, like, halfway through the Bones crossover and was like, nah.
What was that, season 2 still, or season
3, I think. Yeah.
Okay. But so that's still 3 seasons, and we're on season 10 of New Who?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think with Doctor Who, like, I mean, again, there are plenty of things to like about it. I think that this season just, like... I also think the problem, right, is that sometimes, like, season 6, for example, was a mess and was super confusing, and, like, I could not explain what went on in terms of timeline and all that kind of stuff to save my life. But, like, overall, you know what I mean? Like, it started strong, it ended fairly... Like, it kind of started and ended on the same note. Like, this started really, really strong, and then especially, you know, how we feel, we're Black women, and so representation, it starts off just really well, and just, like... makes you feel like seen and represented, and you're just like, this is amazing. Then it just like got meh, and then it was like, and that's like fine. Some Doctor Who does that sometimes. It'll start off great, and then it'll be a little weird, and then it'll go back. Instead, they were just like, no, we're just gonna crash and burn. That's how we're gonna end this.
Right.
Hey, y'all on Twitter,
this
how do you
reminds
think
me a lot
about
of
what do you think
season
about Doctor Who, the finale? Like, no, do you really want to know? Really?
Right.
Because I will cuss out your social media.
I responded, y'all better bring Bill back and stop playing. And then angry emojis. That's what I responded.
Because...
y'all better bring Bill back. That's what I thought.
Honestly, I'm just like, what the fuck happened? Because I was so lost. Even when Missy killed the Master, it wasn't really clear what she did. I was sitting there like, I had to rewind it. Because I was like, did she kill him? What did she do?
Right, I did, and that was the other thing that I hated too, was that Missy killed the Master, and he was like, even for me, that was nicely done, and like did this whole, you know, and she's like, I wanted to give you the respect you deserve, and then he turns around and shoots her in the back.
Right.
Out of a temper tantrum.
Like, none of it made sense, and it was all stupid. It was just ugh. Yuck. I
found myself being like, okay, Bill, aka Pearl Mackie, can put together an outfit from anything. Right? Literally, like, hospital robes or whatever. Because I was like, where's she getting these coats from? Is she doing this herself? I'm like, teach me your ways. Missy, whenever she puts on a long, like, Scottish drawl, I'm here for it.
She also has a sonic umbrella, which I wasn't 100% sure about this last episode, but she definitely has one, which was nice.
She does. And I was like, I like her whole, like, Twisted Mary Poppins thing. Like, so, like, the two highlights were, like, Bill and her ability to put together a look from any capacity in any situation. And even when it's just in her own mind, she's actually a Cyberman. She has on a look. She's wearing a look. And then Missy's look remains constantly intriguing and great to me. And I like when she, like, pretends to be the Doctor and puts on a Scottish drawl. Those are two of the most inconsequential, stupid things to, like, be like... I also think that, like, what you're saying, right, is that from this, like, two-parter, the best things about this episode, about these, like, 2 episodes have been Missy and Bill, have been the women. And then they both got shitted on. Yes. And, like, Moffat just insists that we care about the Master and fucking Nardole more than we care about Missy and Bill. So... he's got a thing about blonde, pasty dudes. Or bald, pasty, like,
no
just
eyebrows.
Balding, pasty dudes. And the thing, too, is I think you said this, like, John Sims as the Master was always just kind of, like, okay. I wasn't, like, that excited when they announced that he was coming back.
Yeah, I was only... because I thought it would be interesting to see the two of them together, but really he was just super sexist and annoying. Yeah. So I was like, why are you here? For what?
And it was also, like, the way that they did 10 and 11 together, because that's our only other, like, 2 Time Lord, same Time Lord, same time thing, was so much... and, yeah, there's tons more material to work with, but it was fun in a way that wasn't like, this was also like, it was creepy, and he never, if I'm looking at my older self, I'm trying to figure out how do I get there, and even if I'm disappointed or whatever, there's some sort of like reverence or like trying to understand that journey. And he was just like, nah, man, you got empathy? That's gross.
Right.
Not like, how did you get here? Tell me your story. I wouldn't have expected this out of us. Just like, ew. You're a woman and you got empathy? Ew.
Right.
Like, what? Like, even narcissists have some sort of, like, self-curiosity or curiosity. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not interested in yourself and your own journey, then, like, what are we doing?
I mean, he was interested. He was just interested in her physical body, which, again, is why it's gross.
And that is another, the way that you said that, like, if that isn't the most
but
sexist
that's what
thing,
it was.
the only thing he was interested in
was her body.
Was her physical body. Not her journey, not her experiences. Ew.
And they're literally the same person. Like,
why did we go through this?
But no. Like, and again, like, I'm just gonna say, like,
so
the whole
gross.
season, and these 2 episodes especially, like, Missy and Bill were the best parts of them. And they got shitted on.
I can, yeah. And I think, too, we should, and I wish we could, like, do this, but I would hope that there are people in, like, the Doctor Who marketing and departments and whatever, like, looking at the reactions. It's like a very outspoken fandom. People, you know, and they do a good job of, like, what did you think about this episode? Or, like, tweeting, and you get immediate reactions. And I don't have the inclination, or I don't have the time to do this, but I would want to go back to every episode and see what, like, by and large, like, the people were talking about. And I'm pretty sure it was, at least from my perspective, it was Bill. It was, like, the relationships of Bill. I personally didn't see anyone fainting over Nardole. I didn't see any Nardole fan art. I didn't see any, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't see, like, oh, we gotta know, I really want to know what's going on with the Nardole. I hope he gets a happy ending. I didn't see any, like, I'm sick of Bills. I mean, I'm sure there was some of that, but, like, for the majority of it, and maybe it's the people that I follow, and so I'm hearing, like, the echo chamber or whatever, but it's just, like, when you were writing this story arc, was there no one being like, so, you're literally shitting on everything that all of the people enjoyed all season. And so, just scientifically, numerically, like, looking at the data, no one wants this.
I know I didn't.
Right. And you're not supposed to, like, write things for, like, what the audience wants or whatever. Like, you have your own process and you will have a story to tell or whatever. But when you're Doctor Who and you're, like, worldwide global franchise, like, you do owe, you know what you're doing. You're doing this for ratings. You're doing this for, like, acclaim.
And my thing is actually, I had a feeling that Bill was only going to be here for 1 season, especially given that, like, you know, they like to do clean breaks or whatever. I had a feeling that maybe she would even die. But I think that the way, and I think that there was a way that they could have done that where that would have made sense, and, like, I would have been salty, like, damn, they killed Bill. But, like, this was just super disrespectful. Like, they could have done it in a way that wasn't disrespectful.
Right. And also there's a way to do it, like you said, that's not disrespectful, but also gives her story, like, a completion, some depth, and some, you know what I mean? Like, I can't think of another companion, except for maybe Martha, but at least she got to come back, whose whole time with the Doctor was for nothing.
Yeah.
Like, there was no...
Like, she didn't do anything.
No. And she didn't even get time to really, like, come into herself, because as soon as I forget which episode or whatever, and I was like, this was the first time that I really felt like Bill was, I think it was the British dudes in space or whatever, and I felt like she was like, okay, no, this is what I do and this is what I don't do. Or no, it was the monks. Sorry. Where she stood on her own, really, and showed, like, her thing was, like, her sense of self and, like, sense of, like, what's real and what's not real. And we got that journey from, like, when she moved into the house and she was very much like, no, this is, like, my life, and, like, that's my travel life with you, and, like, those things do not meet. And then she kind of made that leap to, like, okay, all of that stuff is intermingled, but, like, this is how I'm going to, like, navigate those spaces. And then for the finale, for it to be, like, her standing in the background, standing behind everyone, and then Heather comes and saves her, and then she walks off with her. Like, she didn't even get to choose. She didn't choose, and she didn't say, like, this is my line in the sand, which felt like if there was any kind of, like, thoroughfare to her story, that would have been it. Like, her deciding what was, like, or having a clear sense of, like, this is what I will accept and this is what I won't in my life or whatever. Like, that was the one thing that I thought was, like, impossible girl who waited type of thing, like, girl who decides or girl who asks questions or whatever. Like, the girl who, like, you know, gets answers or something.
Yeah, and I think,
but
like,
the finale was just like, I'm gonna follow along. I'm gonna follow, and it's like, no.
She felt like an afterthought. Like, it felt like he was like, I don't have a story to tell for Bill. I'd rather focus on the masters and the doctor, which again he didn't even do that well. So he was like, let me just kill her off early, and like the whole reason, like, and then even like because like she became a plot device. Like, the master turned her into a Cyberman to get back at the doctor, and I was just like, really?
Why?
Really?
And that was, like, the other thing with the Master, too, is, like, at a certain point, and this is another part of what I was saying was, like, the constant parallels to, like, our modern society or whatever. But at a certain point, like, is it really all about your getting back at your enemy? Like, what are you offering?
Right.
What are you doing? What is your plan? Because you didn't know the doctor was going to land on this ship. Like, your whole plan didn't, you know, like, hinge on spending 10 years with Bill so you could turn her into a Cyberman because that's the doctor's pet.
Right.
Like, that was something that fell in your lap. So what was your actual plan here? Because making Cyberman was a terrible plan from jump.
And it makes no sense. And the other thing is, like, again, with the timelines, it makes no sense, right? Because, like, he wouldn't know because if, like, okay, if it had been Missy on there and they'd been traveling with the Master, then fine. That would have made sense because Missy would have known because she would have remembered the moment. You don't know. You're just here. You literally don't know what's going to happen. Like,
right.
Yeah, I don't know. I had a couple of quotes.
You should have been spending all your time trying to get off that spaceship.
Right.
Sorry.
Pretty much.
Let's just...
Yeah, I was going to say, I had a couple of quotes, but I don't feel like they're necessary, and they, like, whatever. You know what I mean? There's no point.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. I don't particularly care about any of them.
I will say this one, though. Without hope, without witness, without reward, I had hope for this season. I witnessed this whole season. Where's my damn reward?
Yeah. I second that. And those are your final thoughts as well?
So, yeah. Those are my final thoughts.
I feel like, with my final thoughts about the season, like, again, I thought it started off really strongly. I'll probably go back and watch the first 5 episodes. And then maybe the one where they're in Scotland. I thought that one was cool. And then that's it.
Yeah. With the
like,
Romans.
I could do without the monks. I could do without the colonial-ass British people on Mars because they were annoying. Yeah. And I could definitely do without this finale. I am never watching these 2 episodes ever again. That's not happening.
Which sucks because I love Missy. But
there's enough Missy, no. I feel like. Like, I could go back and watch, the Missy episodes.
It's not the way I want to remember her.
I can watch season 8. Missy is the best part about season 8. You gotta go back to watch season 8. That's true. But no, the season 9, the first 2 episodes where she's with Davros, that one she was cute in that one. And those episodes aren't great, but, like, she was cute. And, like, cute, I could kind of, there are a couple season 8 episodes I could go back to. But
when she first reveals herself, and she's cute in season 8, but season 8 as a whole. Season 8
was a problem. They did really well with the
like had nothing to do with her.
That was like their overarching like theme was who is Missy. They did really well with that. I would rewatch the premiere of season 8 because that shit was lit as fuck. But again, then it just became really blah. That it didn't like crash. It was just like, nah, I don't care.
Yeah.
I also, season 9 was really good. And I think that's the other thing. Is I really loved season 9. Right. It's one of my favorite seasons, actually. And so I was like, yeah. And then season 10 started off great. And then it was like, just kidding. What is greatness?
You thought.
Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to achieve that?
We don't know. We don't have that emotion here. I don't know her.
Yeah.
Greatness? I don't know her.
Nope. Not at all. Cool. So you can check us out at blackgirlscreate.org and read Connie's writing at the New York Daily News. Follow us on Twitter at WeBlackandNerds, at Yana_Hollows, at Robin_Ravenclaw, at Constar24, and you can tell us all of your Doctor Who feelings with hashtag Tarbis, which is, again, time and relative blackness in space. You can join our Slack.
Time and relative Bill in space.
Well, yeah. Wherever she is in space and relative.
Well, now she is relative Bill in space.
Right.
Like, legitimately.
Like, actually. Join our Slack where we have a channel dedicated to conversations about Doctor Who. And, yeah, I mean, this is our last episode, but we will...
Wait. Are we coming back for the...
Christmas?
The Christmas?
I don't know.
Do we have to?
I don't know. I feel like we should just...
We don't know, guys.
We don't know. I think don't expect it, but maybe with 6 months to think about it and to calm ourselves. There's the first Doctor who was played by Walter Frey, so that could be some interesting feelings. I saw him and I was just like, I don't really... But I get it because in the little documentary, in the little biopic...
I'm so disappointed
he played the first Doctor.
I'm so disappointed in you.
And I know.
He wasn't played by Walter Frey. He was played by Caretaker Filch.
Yeah, but...
Always.
But he's kind of played by Walter Frey. But I did, you know what I mean? I understood that because he did play the first Doctor in the biopic about the creation of Doctor Who. So I was like, okay, that's cute.
But it's also problematic because he played a villain in Dinosaurs on a Spaceship.
He did do that, but we... We'll probably...
But also, Peter Capaldi was
Fires of Pompeii
a season, and then he became... Okay.
I feel like that... Amy Pond was also in Fires of Pompeii. It's only 6 actors in Britain, so we have to keep that in mind. But yeah, so maybe we'll be back for Christmas. Maybe not. We will see.
Don't count on... Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
No problem.
We'll let you know.
All right.
But thanks for sticking with us through these episodes in these past couple weeks. It's been fun for the most part.
Ugh. Has it been fun? Are we going back to episode 1?
It was...
Are you having fun?
You're not having fun talking with me?
Did you have fun?
That's sad. Now my feelings are hurt.
I guess I had fun talking with you about not having fun watching one of my favorite shows of all time.
That's nice.
Which it's look at my life, look at my choices.
Now I'm really thinking about damn, Doctor Who is really... I mean, if you go back, there are ways you can remember why you love Doctor Who. So there are a lot of episodes.
I gotta go back and remember. I gotta go watch the 11th Hour and watch him make Amy cook him all that food, throw it away. Are you trying to kill me? I gotta remember that. I gotta go back to what? Donna and the Doctor. I gotta go back to those highlights because right now in the library. I'm struggling.
Back when Moffat's writing made sense.
The Vastronaut. Because he wasn't show running 8 different shows, and there was someone, and he had a boss. That's the problem. He needs a boss.
Yeah.
He needs to be answerable to someone.
To be nah, fam, that makes no sense. Or that's just super trash and garbage. Let's scrap that and start over.
And again, when Connie is not here, we close out the show and talk further.
It's fine. It's the last episode. Whatever.
Yeah. Ugh. And we had feelings to get out. And we'll still, again, follow us on Twitter at WeBlackandNerds, #Tarbis. Join our Slack channel because I'm sure the feelings will be rolling in for the next couple of weeks, months, years. I feel like it'll be 10 years later and I'll be like, but how did you build like that, though?
Yeah.
You're like, can you pass? I said, can you pass the salt? But why did you build like that, though?
Yeah.
Why? Robin.
Yeah.
Still. Always.
Always. All right. Thanks, y'all.